What's one comeback you've used in life that was so smooth you still grin when you think back on it? I was at a comedy club and got up to use the bathroom, which was directly behind the stage. As I walked back to my table, the comedian on stage waved at the curtain behind him and said, "You know, behind this curtain is a one-way mirror. We were all watching you in there." In an uncharacteristic moment of confidence and wit, I turned to him and said, "Yes, I heard the applause." Someone said I got a two-hand job from your sister. I said she's charging $1 an inch now. Huh. Perfect. I only had $3 anyways, so you can afford 3. I was a witness to a murder in which I was one of the people that they tried to kill. Years later after it happened, I get a call I needed to testify as they had caught the assholes. After several minutes of questioning, the DA asked me what I was thinking after they shot at me. Thinking to myself, how you answer a blatantly obvious and ridiculous question. The only response I could come up with was shit. The entire court started laughing, including not only every juror, but the DA, the defense attorney, and the judge. Even the stenographer was laughing so hard she stopped typing. I'm fairly certain I'll never get another zinger like that again. Beautiful. Also, congrats on not being murdered. In middle school, this dude threatened to throw me in a dumpster. I replied I wouldn't want to impose on your mother-in-law, but thanks. And then he attacked. I really liked anime, and so bullies in school often taunted me with bullshit about Pokemon. One day in math class, a guy turned around and said, "I've caught all the Pokemon. What about you?" Me, really? Have you caught chlamydia yet? Him, of course I have. Best part was, a girl in front of him turned around and said, "Dude, that's a vaginal disease." He looked so ashamed. My friend broke up with his girlfriend. Drunk at a party, she yelled at him for having a small dick. His counter, "It would been bigger if you ever got me hard." Instant classic. A female friend of mine and I got subs at Subway one afternoon. She went with one of the expensive dealies. She says for $9, "This better be an orgasm in my mouth." To which I replied I could have done that for $8. I'm getting ready to leave happy hour and see that my coat is still on the bar stool that I was at earlier, but now is being sat on by the CEO, and my bag was on the bar next to him. So I walk over and somewhat sheepishly, I was pretty low on the totem pole, say excuse me to get my coat, and when I go to grab my bag, he grabs it and says, winking at the CFO at school, "We've already been through your bag. There's no money in there." Without even thinking I said, "Yeah, we are gonna have to have a talk about that." They burst out laughing, and after that, I was cool with the seer. True story. Not mine but my sister's. She was about 4 and wanting to play kitchen in her room. She grabbed some cereal boxes from the kitchen and put them in her room. My mother, in trying to explain why it wasn't acceptable, said the cereal will bring ants. "Do you want ants in your room?" My sister, not missing a beat, replied, "Do you want ants in your kitchen?" This story still gets brought up at mother-in-law gatherings 20 plus years later. My friend was singing a Christmas carol in school once, and this girl yelled, "Christmas is over," to which he immediately replied, "So's Halloween." I was flirting with a girl that was quite a bit taller than me at a bar. The girl dismissively said, "I've got at least 6 inches on you." Without missing a beat, I replied, "That's okay. I've got at least 7 inches on you." She laughed, bought me a drink. Throwaway. Arguing with my ex's sister. She asked, "Where do you get off?" I said, "All over your sister." I was conversing with a friend about video games in the school cafeteria when a loud, overweight girl starts loudly talking about how all guys who play video games are nerds. I shoot her a look and say, "I guess I'm a nerd." Then, she rolls her eyes and says, "Tell me something I don't know." Freak. Off the top of my head I reply, "Salad tastes good." I work in a supplement store. One night, as I was nearing the end of my shift and getting tired of talking to people, A young guy and his buddy walk in, and the guy decides he's going to be Mr. Funny Man and make jokes about all the products. I hate when people do this, because A, the jokes are never funny, and B, I've heard them all before. So after humoring a few somewhat obnoxious quips from him, the guy grabs a fat burner off the shelf and holds it up at me. Whoop, look at this one. Hey, miss, is this gonna make me look way better? To which I replied, without missing a beat, I really hope so. His buddy and the other guys in the store just started cracking up. I hadn't meant to sound so bitchy, it just sort of came out that way. I never think of a comeback in time, so this was incredibly unusual for me. I'm standing outside a restaurant, waiting for friends to arrive. A guy walks up to me and asks, "Are you the valet?" Me, grinning, "What kind of car do you have?" He laughed too. I'm usually a sap, but I was sitting in a coffee shop with some friends, plus a few people I didn't know. The girls in the group started talking about the types of guys they are into. This girl I just met said, "I don't know what it is, but I really love when guys are dick to me," and before she could finish her next sentence, I say, "Holy shit, are you still talking?" Everyone looked at me like in complete shock, but the girl gave me a grin of approval. No, that's a common misconception. Actually, you were a misconception. 7th grade. I was at my usual bar one Halloween waiting outside for a cab when a cocktail waitress, who was outside for a cigarette, got in my face and started spewing all sorts of abuse. Apparently there was a case of mistaken identity and she had gotten word that I was messing around with her new boyfriend, who was a friend of mine I wasn't. So I'm minding my business when she gets in my face, starts yelling and shoves me. There are 2 police officers standing nearby waiting to arrest some drunk drivers, but they don't look too concerned. I know that hitting her back is a bad plan, but I'm too drunk to formulate any coherent counter-argument. So I do the only thing I can think of. I grab her face with both my hands and give her a long, lingering kiss. "Jamie," I reply after breaking away, "you're a gem." She froze in shock for a solid 30 seconds and then ran back into the bar, screaming about how now she had to get tested for herpes. The cops behind me were dying laughing. I moved away the next day and 4 years later, have yet to see either her or her boyfriend again. I was at a bar, at a table, with some friends. A group of women, looked to be in their early 50s, sitting at a nearby table, completely hammered, which normally wouldn't be an issue. Only these ladies were literally gutting younger women with insults as they'd pass by, trying to see how many they could make cry. After about an hour or so of this happening, these women start looking for men to take home. I know this because they were nice enough to announce it out loud to the entire bar. Every few minutes, one of the women, a blonde that happened to be the ringleader of this group, kept looking over at me, trying to capture my attention. Not being overly attracted to obnoxious, I ignore this woman, which only makes it worse and only makes her more angry. So she gets up and walks over to our table, tells me that she's going to the bathroom and that I better be there when she returns because I'm going home with her. To which I say, it's not happening, but she ignores me and makes her way to the bathroom. On her way back, she walks past me and loudly exclaims "dick," so everyone at her table and my table can hear. To which I respond, "Oh mom, you know how you get after 2 drinks." She turned around, and I've rarely seen a woman so pissed off. She started screaming something I couldn't make out, which attracted the bouncer, who promptly kicked her out. Everyone clapped, and I drank the rest of the night for free. Too long didn't read called a cougar mother. She got bounced. My mom called me a son of a bitch and I responded with, "I know I am." My mom once called my brother a son of a bitch and I said, "Don't you talk about my mom like that." Too long didn't read managed to come up with, and you so normally only think it up in the shower later worthy witty retort during a 12-hour disagreement with a stranger on a plane. I was on a plane flight from Lax to New Zealand. I was sitting next to a Chinese woman who within the first 5 minutes of conversation started extolling the virtues of the Chinese capital punishment system: conviction, execution, for mother-in-law brother-in-law for the bullet the same day. I told her I was against the death penalty, but that at least in most countries in the West the systems had multiple appeals to satisfy the principle of better to let 100 murderers go free than execute one innocent man. She told me that in China it was better to execute 100 innocent men than let one murderer go free. We still had the whole Pacific to go, so I said, let's agree to disagree, and that should make for a more peaceful flight, and then sat in my seat and seethed about this for the next 12 hours. 3 movies, 2 meals and a long sleep later we are landing in Wellington, and the customs announcements prompt the Chinese lady to start telling our this long story about how she was detained in Bangkok, suspected of being a drug mule, had her very private things in her suitcase spread out on a table. She was visibly upset at this story and looked to be tearing up as she started to describe them searching her person for drugs. The fastened seatbelt light went off. I said better to have strip searched you and 99 other innocent passengers than let one drug smuggler get through. And then I got up, grabbed my bag, and walked away, leaving her open-mouthed. To this day, when a comeback or witty retort occurs to me after the fact, I always remember this story and think it's okay. I got her. Not sure if it counts, but a few years ago, when I was a checker at Safeway, a man and his son come up to my line. They start unloading their cart and I quickly grab each item as they place it on the belt. It's a very large cart and we both start going faster until he asks if we are now racing. I tell him that if he wants to, I'm more than happy to win. He gives me a smother-in-law and both the dad and the kid start throwing things on the belt and I'm still keeping up. He looks at me and just says, your overconfidence will be your weakness. And without even a half-second delay I give my best decrepit voice and reply apparently quite loudly, your faith in your friends is yours. He just stops dead in his tracks and we both start cracking up along with most of the lines around us, as well as all my coworkers who heard it. I was proud of myself for weeks after that happened, and I still don't think I've ever been that quick-witted since. Unfortunately this one was against me. My mother-in-law was sitting around at dinner and I somehow started the conversation on who was smarter, my brother or me. My mom actually says, yeah, no, cool place. I actually think you may be the most intelligent. My brother looks at my dad and without missing a beat says, well, at least I now know which one of you is smarter. Saw a total bag I worked with at a local picnic. He's talking to a rather cute girl and her friend. He turns to me and says, I've got 5 digits tonight so far. I turn back to him and say, you need at least 7 to get the phone to ring. The girls laugh and walk away. Me, do you have any whiteout? My prof, no. I don't make mistakes. Me, what about that haircut? Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.